Well, the 8 o'clock advisory just in from the National Hurricane Center, and Melissa, still a tropical storm for now. We do want to bring in, though, Fox Weather hurricane specialist Bryan Norcross. Bryan, we'd love your thoughts, your opinions, your insight on what is going on with Melissa as we speak.
Well, Melissa's in the development stages, and today is the day that this is going to begin on Jamaica in the eastern parishes of that country, and it's going to last through a good part of Tuesday. So this is really setting up to be a whole different kind of a catastrophic hurricane event than we're used to because of the duration. So it starts late today. It's really going tomorrow in the eastern half of the country, and then it peaks late on Monday into early Tuesday, and then moving away on Tuesday. So an extended period of torrential rain and just blistering winds in the part of the country that gets the incredible wind. So there is absolutely nothing good that we know about this storm right now. 70-mile-an-hour top winds is what the hurricane hunters are reporting at the moment, but they're also showing that the system is developing. It's barely moving west-northwest, so it's drifting in this direction, and it is expected to accelerate in that direction a bit. But really, this period between now and Tuesday, it's really going to be in drift mode, so nothing is going to move quickly. That's what's going to make this a very unusual big hurricane event, is to have something move so slowly. If you remember in our history, think back to Hurricane Dorian that just pounded the Bahamas because it moved so slowly over the Bahamas. Well, unfortunately, we have a similar situation here, although in this case, we have a mountainous island which enhances the rainfall. All right, 982 on the pressure. Pressure's going down. Winds are inching up. We expect all this to come together. Let's look at it close up here, and you can see this rotation. But notice the rotation kind of seems like it starts over here, and then it goes up over here, right? And this is because that's in the mid-levels of the atmosphere, so the system is still trying to align its surface circulation down on the Caribbean seas right there with the mid-levels. It's kind of like a top that's going like this, and when the top is just spinning directly, that's when the system has the mechanics to really spin up, sort of firing on all cylinders at that point. And it's getting there. It's starting to form an eye, and so that's all these things are steps. And you can see how close it is to Bermuda, or to the Jamaica. The other thing to notice here is the shape of this. Notice it's developing these outer bands here. That's another sign of a developing, potentially very, very strong system. There's how big the area of winds of 40 miles per hour or higher are right now, according to the calculations from the Weather Service and the measurements from the hurricane hunters. So that's where it is as it's drifting this way. You can see that this, first of all, this is going to grow, and so it gets a little bigger, and then eventually it comes over the eastern parts of the islands and migrates across Jamaica, and it's just going to fringe Haiti, not a wind threat in Haiti, but this, you can see this plume of moisture heading right toward Haiti. So tremendous, devastating rains forecast there on the Tiburon Peninsula of Haiti. This area is where the hurricane force gusts are, so you'll see in a moment when this makes landfall an estimate of how big all these areas are. Here's the radar. This is the Jamaican radar out of Kingston. This is the eye forming right there. It's just now forming. It's a segment of eye wall that we're seeing from about 150 miles out. So that line there is 150 miles from Kingston right now. And you can see it's just inching in this direction. I mean, just barely moving. All right, so here's the forecast from the National Hurricane Center. The idea is this thing just spins up, and by tomorrow morning, it's 145-mile-an-hour Category 4 hurricane is the estimate right now. Remember, all these estimates are plus or minus, but the idea is a spectacular intensifying storm up to 155, which is just just under Category 5 strength Monday afternoon as it begins its slow turn north. And I just want to emphasize slow, because if we look at this is the morning, this is the afternoon, or actually so anywhere along that line according to the forecast. But you can see it just barely moving, and all that time the winds are blowing like this over the island and pounding moisture into those mountains that all comes downhill. And also right along the coast you get an enhancement for more and more rain. So this is just tomorrow or Monday. This is only Saturday. Monday looks like just an excruciating day on Jamaica, because that's going to be the day that it really is blowing, and that's going to last into Tuesday. It's hard to get your mind around that it could be that strong for that long. Again, the Bahamians know about this. And then the idea is it makes landfall sometime when it says Tuesday a.m. here. It really means overnight in the early morning hours of Tuesday, somewhere on the south coast here. If it makes landfall right where it's shown, this is going to be very bad for the Kingston metropolitan area, because the winds blow like this. And so they're blowing the Caribbean seawater onshore into Kingston Harbor. The winds coming right off the water are blasting into the metropolitan area. So it's where exactly that corridor of strongest winds will be is an open question. But boy, it just does not look good for Kingston. Could be a little bit outside of the city, we can hope, but somebody is definitely going to get it from everything that we know here. And then it takes off on Tuesday, gets picked up, and it takes off so that by Wednesday morning it's over eastern Cuba, moving through the southeastern Bahamas, Turks and Caicos. We're certainly going to have to prepare for this, and then weakening as it heads on out to sea, and then it's not going to be an issue for anybody after that. So how confident are we in this? I'll show you that, but also I want to show you the size of the storm. Look at this. This is the hurricane force gusts. These are the hurricane force sustained winds on the National Hurricane Center track. So you can see it occupies a good part of Jamaica. There's the Google track. There's the European model track, the ENS. Everybody pretty much agrees this is a tremendous threat to the capital of Jamaica and the eastern part of the country, both from rain and from wind. Guys?
Yeah, the rain, the wind, the possible storm surge, Brian, this is just when I look at this, my gosh, it feels like it's almost a worst case scenario in parts for Kingston, as you mentioned, the capital city.
If it comes ashore just to the west of Kingston, it is. It is. It's hard to imagine how you could have a worse hurricane. If this happens, this will be the worst hurricane in the history of Jamaica, since we have records going back, even worse than Gilbert in 1988.
Yeah, this is going to be a catastrophic storm. Of course, we will be monitoring it every step of the way. Fox Weather hurricane specialist Bryan Norcross. Bryan, thank you so much for your insight.